beautiful hearts. I am so excited to introduce you to my guest today, Jarrad Hewitt. He is a #1 best-selling author. I'm sure that you've seen him on the scene. He has been doing this work for decades, and he is a leading teacher on multidimensional energy. It's all about energy. And Jarrad truly helps us come into the heart. I've already been moved to tears, and we haven't even started. So, welcome, Jarrad. Thank you so much for being here. We can certainly feel an energetic shift with you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I would just tell everyone that's watching or listening, you may also experience, like, you may all of a sudden have some emotion or you may have some tears come up. And so just be present with us. We're going to move a lot of energy while we talk today.
And so I am very excited to announce that we have 3 days with Jarrad. Today is an introduction. Going to hear some stories from Jarrad and his background, and we'll feel the energy as he mentioned. And again, when we opened up this call, I felt that huge wave just coming into my heart. And I've been doing a lot of work on that. We all have, but to be here in Jarrad's presence just made me go woof right immediately in the heart. And you know me, that brings tears of joy and tears of love and tears of release because we don't have to be so hard around our hearts. In fact, that's our creation vehicle. And so we're going to do that today. And then tomorrow, oh my goodness, we have another day with Jarrad, and Thursday we have another day. Those are two live events that you do not want to miss. So be sure to make sure that you have the link for that. All right. So Jarrad, let's start with you. My goodness, here you've been doing this for so long. You're a best-selling author. Can you share with us what your awakening was like? I mean, here we all grew up in this world, we come in programmed, but something happens. What
Yeah.
was your awakening like?
It was hard. Probably like a lot of people's. It was hard. I grew up where I could still the veil didn't kind of fully drop for me, so I could still see things and I could hear things. And I grew up in an environment where that was very much not appreciated and tried to get kind of literally beaten out of me. And as I grew up and realized there were a lot of conflicting beliefs that I had, even about myself, because if other people thought I was wrong, the people that I loved and looked up to thought I was wrong, innately I started to believe that there were things that were wrong. And so I very quickly started putting on weight when I was about 8 years old. The highest I ever was just shy of about 400 pounds. And so I got very obese because I was trying to eat the energy. I was trying to eat my feelings. I couldn't open my heart. And so everything was just about trying to maintain a safety. And so, building that physical barrier out. Um, a lot of the ultimate awakening for me came. I broke bones a lot growing up because I had basically a belief that I was broken. So one arm 4 times, one arm 3 times, one leg, one knee, some toes, things like that. And going through all of the physical stuff, at one point I had a lot of heart issues as well. And so I remember laying in bed one day and thinking, if this is all it is, I don't want to be here. And in that one instance, there was enough of me, enough of my mind, enough of my identity, enough of my story that loosened up. I heard very clearly that in essence, it was kind of a download of energy, but it's all just energy. If you will let go, if you will really let go of the beliefs that you have about, whether you got it from your preacher or your parents or your teachers or whatever, wherever these beliefs came from, they created a structure in who you are, and you're not that person. And so I wasn't quite in a space where I could fully integrate all of that yet. But as I started to be with that more and more and more, I realized that if I would have been born thousands of miles away to different parents, into a different religion, into a different socioeconomic background, that my beliefs might be totally different. And all of these things that I really believed were foundational identity points for myself, they were self-created. Maybe they were created with the help of other people, but they were ultimately self-created. And so I started playing with letting go of some of those identities and what would happen, if this is kind of silly, but I don't. There was a medical show on TV at the time, and someone had had some kind of brain thing where their personality shifted, and I thought, well, what is actually me, and what is actually all of these things that I've taken on? What is the fear about how people are going to react to me, or what is the energy and the structure of who I'm supposed to be versus what is innate within me. And so I really just started exploring what is innate within me. And what came through in that message was divine love. And at that time, I had a definite definition of what divinity was, and who divinity was, and who was allowed to be divine and who wasn't, and how you could lose it or how you could attain it. And Spirit just whispered in that space and said, you've known this whole time, none of that is real. If you just will feel into it, you'll be able to feel the expanse of my presence. And the more I felt into that, it was just like everything started to change for me. And it was very interesting because I find a lot of parallels with kind of where people are today and where I was then, in that we're entering this kind of new world where a lot of the old stuff doesn't work anymore. And that's what I found at a very relatively young age, in my late teens, early 20s. I was trying to live a life that was filtered through all of these old lenses, and the energy just would not move. My life wouldn't move, my body wouldn't move. And so I wound up, I would create more illness or more disease or more struggle or whatever it was that I was going through, to get to the place of realization so that I could let go and realize, wait, there's something completely new that has to birth. And that includes all of the channels about how I live and the directions of my energy flow and my belief structures. And so that was really it for me. It was a very much dying of the old self and a being born again, to specifically use that analogy, of that energy, being born again in the sense of who we are when we just let go and we let the divine come in, and we just live within the structure of that heart space.
Yes, all right. So that is such a personal journey of your own self-discovery, and it's just amazing. And so as you began to let go and play around with that, what did you first begin to notice? I mean,
Panic,
it's amazing.
anxiety. That was,
Yes, right. We want to
yeah,
grasp to it. Do you, and so this is a bigger question, but I think I'm going to let you answer that, but I think many people have to let go in that way right now, right?
very
And
much
it's
so.
happening. But anyway,
And
tell us,
and well, and
yeah.
that's, I think, where a lot of people find a lot of panic, and we're drawn to what we know, and what we know is ultimately a lot of, it's kind of how the mind will self-validate. So it creates an us versus a them. It creates separation. It creates duality. And what we're learning is, okay, how can I stay true to love, and how can I act from that space? How can I allow from that space? How can I be in that space? And the mind says, well, you can't. You have to fight this, and you have to fight this, and you have to fight this. And the focus on that fight ultimately keeps our consciousness linked into that old. And so there really is this big release that's happening, that's being asked to happen right now. And it's why a lot of people feel so fried out in their nervous system, because literally all of the old coping mechanisms, they don't work anymore. And it's just a space of, okay, well, when I let go, am I safe? And so one of the biggest things that I find that I'm working with people on at a day-to-day level is what safety means to them. And all of the old definitions of, well, I'm safe when my finances are there. I'm safe when my partner is there. I'm safe when X, Y, and Z show up in my life. And some of these things stop showing up in their life because they're being asked to find a deeper level of safety that will then align them with that new version of flow and allow all of those things to open back up again. But it's a little bit of a death of the old and a rebirth into the new.
And we can see how scary that is.
Very.
Yeah. All right. And so when you did that, you are fit and trim, right?
Thank you.
You look
Yeah,
fit
yeah.
and trim.
About 175 pounds of trimness.
Perfecto, right? That's a perfect alignment for you. And so as you started to panic and kind of let go, then you started to see things change and shift, and that kept you going. Can you elaborate on that part of the journey?
Yeah, I started looking at life through the lens of core beliefs or genetic beliefs, things. What did I
Yeah.
believe that was maybe related to family patterns? What did I believe that was kind of the intrinsic building blocks of my life? Where did those things come from? And so when I would start to feel anxious and uncomfortable, I would look at all of the places where I felt abandoned as a child, where I felt even abandoned in that space as an adult, and started working back to or working forward to that space of, all right, if I can step into just what divine love is, and I use that term interchangeably with self-love as well, that space of can I allow, can I be? And the more my body started to relax, the more I noticed the greater shift in my health, the more I noticed a greater shift in the things I was doing with work, the more I noticed these older beliefs they could be very easily categorized and explained. And yet at the same time, when I would feel them, it was a space where I had to become conscious of it. And so one of the things that I always tell people is there are various elements to our consciousness and coming into our body. There's the awareness, and a lot of us have the awareness. Awareness is okay, this is going on. But sometimes we shove down the presence, and the presence is what will say, is this real? Like for me with the anxiety, I would feel it and I would go into all of the places in my body where everything was just going perfectly, where I didn't have to control it. I didn't have to replicate my cells. I didn't have to beat my heart. It might have been beating out of control and fast in that moment, but I didn't have to control it. I just started to be able to let go more and more and more. And I noticed that as I was able to let go more and more and more, it was almost like more was being added, but it was goodness, it was joy, it was love. All of those old things started to dissipate. Even the health stuff started to dissipate. I very much had a space where, because I believed I was intrinsically broken, that started to create that stuff within my heart. And the more I came back into my center, the more my physical health got better, the more I stopped having heart arrhythmias, the more I stopped having tachycardia. And so I really started to look at the link between the body and the mind and the spirit, and understanding what was innately within me and what was believed to be innately within me, and how those things were actually different, and where they were causing a little bit of a rub up against each other.
Yeah, thank you. We're all looking at our lives and going, wow. Okay. And towards the end of our program today, we're going to do a little frequency exchange for everyone to feel some of this, what we're talking about. But I want to ask you, so, here, you grew up with your family telling you that you're broken and trying to stuff you. That's not true. That's not true. Tell me what's that like now with your family, with your parents and all of those around? Do they understand, or if they've passed, do they understand now? What happened on
Yes.
that route?
So my dad has passed. He definitely understands now. He started to understand later in his life, and my mom as well. I
Because
remember,
of you, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and so this
See?
is an interesting thing. A lot of times, I see this in family structures where children will be born into a certain way, and there will be a dichotomy with the parent, and it's like it's a space where I feel like I chose this incarnation and chose this because it got to show me not only my limitations but the limitations that maybe other people had, and it challenged me to step outside of those limitations. I would have never had to challenge a lot of what I believe had I not intrinsically felt this way inside, had I not been different from everything around me. If I'd have just been born into that sameness, I would have never questioned it. I would have gone along with it. I would have probably been very oppressive and very overweight and very bald and very unhappy at this phase in my life. But with my parents in high school, I was having a lot of precognitive dreams, and they just thought I had a very active imagination. And I remember, and I talked about this in one of my books, my very first book. I said I had a dream one night, and it was that we were gonna go into the casino. I was 18, so this was international waters. I was gonna find the casino, wait 3 spins, wait, or for the guy that I saw in my dream, put it down on a number and hit roulette. And I told my parents that at dinner. And I said, if this is true, you can't really doubt me any longer because that's just too crazy. Like it's
Wow.
nobody does that. And so they said, oh, okay, whatever. Well, this will finally, shut you up. Well, we went in there. I found the guy from my dream. I waited 3 spins. I got $5. I put it on the thing. It wheel spun. The number hit. They both turned around and walked away, and they didn't really ever say anything about it ever again after that.
No, they didn't go, woohoo.
No, they
Wow.
did not, because it really challenged what they believed religiously and what was going on. But they were of the belief that if someone, we'll say in their language, prophesied something and it came true, that that was divine. And so the fact that it happened, they they had to really kind of reorient their own belief structures to how they perceived me and what was going on with me. And so it turned it into where, okay, maybe he's actually gifted and maybe we just don't understand it. And so they were able to lighten up at that point. I'll say it that way. They didn't fully change. My mom still hasn't fully changed, but she definitely looks at me as if I know what's going on.
That good work. Thank you for
Oh,
that.
thanks.
And the fact that you're helping so many people, I can sense that she's just very proud of you and she does look up to you because of that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you do recognize that you did choose your family
Yeah.
then, right? I mean, you did choose and for many of us that's one of the hardest things. Why would I choose this?
Right.
But again, in hindsight, which is 2020, even more than 2020, we
It
can
is.
know that we know exactly why things happened the way that they did. And
Well,
so
real quick, let me just say that the,
yeah,
the things that were the biggest hurdles for me growing up, the things that were the biggest um, pain points and places where I felt abused or misused or misunderstood, those places I could have gone to a very dark space. And early in my life, I did go to a very dark space with it. Yet, those were all of the things that created within me the desire to challenge myself and to challenge who I was. And so, as I was able to grow through that, and this is where I think it's important that we all have people like you who support, people like me who support everyone on their journey. Um, I realized that some of the things that were my biggest pain points became my biggest blessings because they were the biggest opportunity for the letting go of the old and the growing into the new.
thank you for that. Thank you for that. And that is such a good reminder for all of us that this pain point is an opportunity and we should embrace it and choose. And so ooh, that brings us fast forward to the current day of us really needing to do that. And so I know that's the work that you focus on because we cannot just keep doing things the way that we have been doing things. And as we look out at the external world, we are certainly seeing so much crumbling so fast. Who knows what to believe anymore? I'm a trained journalist. And I'm just like, whoa,
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm out of it. I've been out of it for 25 years now, and there's just no way that I could still be a part of that. And it's just, wow, we won't even go there, but we can see the
But
point of
everybody can feel that energy. And regardless of even, not going there, it's out in the collective. And that's something that we feel on a daily basis, unless we really understand how to go into ourself. And as Jesus said, be in the world, not of the world. That's such a thing that I try to do every day, or not try, I do my best to be in that space because if the world shapes who you are right now, you're going to be a rolling fireball of a mess.
I just got major chills on that. Yeah, we will be a rolling fireball of a mess. And we're starting to see that. And so, when it's all said and done, I have been saying for years now, and this year, last year, woo, real, it just seems like the years are getting more of a pressure cooker. So that
Yeah.
it's like, are we going to become the diamond through the pressure? are we going to simply just throw it up and say, okay, I choose love already. I choose my heart. I choose the oneness.
Yeah,
I think that's what's going on. So, um,
100%. I'm with you on that.
okay. My last question about your a shifting and alignment into the new you, the new Jared, is all about the
And it still
family
happens, by the
lines.
way. It's an
Oh,
ongoing process.
it's okay. It is an ongoing process, and that is important to remember because we can get knocked off kilter. We can,
Yeah.
but then it becomes so much easier. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. This ability to like literally see the world from this love heart connection. We're going to get there in just a moment. But can you share this awareness of okay, so our family lines, I just want to share something very briefly.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful sister. We have different dads, and we didn't grow up together, but now we're in each other's lives. And I start to see things that are totally genetics, okay? Because it's
Yeah.
like, why would we sound the certain way, react the certain way? And even my cousin, who also is from my father's brother, we didn't grow up, but now we know each other, and we can see reactions and just like, and it's like, ooh, and so now it's helping me to determine that's genetic. If we all have it, we all respond to that way. So this is just a little roadmap that we're making. How can someone begin to identify in their own life where it's genetics, where it's not theirs? Because it could frustrate and it seems
Oh,
so real,
yeah. Well,
right?
and it's actually even bigger than that because if you think about the genetics of humanity,
Oh
we
my
have
God.
we have traits that are much broader even in that sense. So I when I get into it, people, I look
So
at their
it's not just
family.
family.
No,
It's not just
I look at family, I look at past lives, I look at, everywhere we've ever existed. But
uh,
to keep it in a space where we can explain it hopefully relatively fast. Um, how you know it's genetic, that's the place where a real easy question is, or a thing that you can look at is that's where people say, oh, you're just like your mother, oh, you're just like your father, oh, you're just like so and so. When you start to see these patterns play out, and it's basically pattern recognition.
yeah.
Yeah, when you can look at and see, wow, wait, my dad was overweight, his dad was overweight, his dad was overweight. What about me and my being overweight was taking on their beliefs because I later learned that my dad had a lot of beliefs about himself being broken and himself not being able to be who he was. So what in his soup got infused into my soup, because we're kind of, if you think about water and energy and, we're 80-90% water, our planet is water. Water is a conductive element of energy. That energy just kind of transfers its information on a wave and it'll go until it's interrupted. And so a lot of these things, that's why I said a lot of the things that were such pain points for me were actually opportunities to interrupt that flow of energy and then create something new. But to your point specifically about how can you notice if it's genetic, it really is pattern recognition. If you look at something and if you can't a lot of times identify what in me did that, a lot of times that means that it wasn't something in you, it was something that you've taken on that just structurally presented itself through you, but that was the genetics acting out patterns.
Okay. So we're going to talk about multidimensional energy because you're the
Okay.
expert in that. But I wanted to ask, clearing that out.
Yeah,
So awareness would be huge in this process, right? But
absolutely.
there's a little bit more to it. Can you detail, like, so if we were to say, all right, I'm seeing this pattern, I'm seeing this, what do we do to yank it out? Can we just visualize it? Is it energy? What needs to be done to let that go, to clear that?
Yeah, to keep with the analogy of a pattern, and this is what we're in right now as a planet. We're in a space of pattern interruption. The opportunity there comes because the mind wants to self-validate. The mind is not really necessarily the creative aspect of us. The mind can be creative, but it creates in ways that tend to self-validate the stories. And so when we're looking at the genetic energies, if you can move back into it's what a lot of people call the blank page or the still point. That's how I refer to it. If you can let go of your fears enough to move into a space of blankness, that's just the space of that kind of creative void, but it's not a void because it's where everything comes from. It's that divine space of love. When you allow that to kind of flow into you, it will automatically start to transmute all of the things that you are actively not currently aligned with through your genetics. So there's the awareness of the pattern, and then there is the, okay, at a space where infinite possibilities exist, and I am someone who is loved and supported by all energy. I am blessed by all energy, that everything works for my greatest good. What am I now ready to let go of so that I can step into something else? And that's where our sovereignty comes in, our own authority. And it comes in with that presence that I talked about earlier. It's the presence, the willingness to be in your life and to say, okay, I understand who I was a second ago, and I understand who I'm going to be in another second is not yet defined, that this moment right now is what shifts and creates it all. So in this moment, can I invite in that divinity? Can I experience that love, that purity of source, and move to that space of pure isness and allow everything to fall away? And then from that space, choose again, choose anew, be born again in that space.
I know I am not the only one moved to tears right there when you say that. I'm actually feeling the frequency of that. And to me, this is the most important message for all of us and the roadmap. Okay, forgive me for my tears,
I
everyone. You
did.
know
I teared
me.
up too. Yeah. When the heart opens, it's, you know what,
The heart opens.
yeah, and you laugh, you cry. It doesn't have to be a sad cry. Sometimes I'll just get tears flowing because it's just energy moving. Yeah.
I just went through an experience where we saw men 18 to 80 years old opening their hearts and sobbing.
Oh, beautiful.
And I realized,
Oh, I
wow,
got
I think that's
chills.
part of my, I know that's part, I think that's part of our mission here. We're all thinking, oh, it's the divine feminine coming, it's the divine feminine, but the men are beautiful men on this planet.
Yeah.
And that's why I honor the work that you're doing, Jarrad. You really are a leader. If
Thank you.
we can help the men in our life come home to this, I see that world and it's so beautiful. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's so beautiful. Okay.
Well,
All right, enough of that.
oh no, I'm with you though. Like what I always tell people is there's the divine child, the divine masculine, the divine feminine is obviously something that we're all a lot very familiar with. But when you ascend out into that space of unity and love, it transcends gender, it transcends our bodies, it transcends that space within us, and it's just the beingness. And what it does is it allows us within our human existence for the masculine, the feminine, the child to all balance within each one of us so that all aspects of us come home and support those aspects and builds up who we really are from our heart. And that's that space where we can all connect and we can all love and we can all work together. And it's shedding a lot of those old dichotomies and the old dualities and entering into a whole new phase where there's a singular oneness amongst all of us. And from that layer, that's where we start resonating with each other and working with each other. But it shows up exactly how you said, where it's like, wow, it allows for the masculine to actually integrate the feminine and come forward in a new way and come forward as a balanced divine masculine, which is that space where all energy flows together of one accord.
So beautiful. Yes. And as you were sharing there, the mother, the father, the child, and I've been working with the numerology 1 through 9, and then there's the
Oh,
master
yeah.
numbers. But that reiterates the magic 369. You have
Yes.
the mother, father, the child, but then the next iteration of that is the 4, 5, and 6, and that's just so amazing right there. And technically, they're aligned in different masculine. Okay, not to go so deep into it, but then
No, no,
that's
those are the patterns, those are the
those are
energies,
the
those are the ways
patterns.
that we emerge into that divine structure of who we really are as our most ascended, powerful self. And powerful there doesn't mean, you know, the icky power that has to be lorded over someone or something has to be taken. It's an innate space in you where, again, I have a religious background, so I kind of quote sometimes, but it's have faith the size of a mustard seed, and you can say to that mountain, move, and the mountain moves. We see that space within us where when we come into that space of oneness and love, all things become possible. We're not shutting anything down anymore. We're allowing that flow. And that's ultimately the birth of this new earth that we're all experiencing right now.
So the roadmap, the requirement, this is where this is going to get a little quantum physics-y because quantum physics is actually quantum physics-y.
I love
Qu-
that.
Um, it's science saying there's something real here. There is something that's measurable, and it's really beautiful. And so when you're talking oneness and you're talking the still point and the void is like pure consciousness. There's so much information there. There's the unknown that's in there, infinite possibilities that are in there. And so, in your experience, what's the journey that one has to take? I mean, we can think, I can say that for you, but I think you and your understanding of the energy, what kept you was these programs and the thoughts, and then you opened up to it and you allowed that to come in. That's all we need to do then. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way I've described it in the past is I've talked about that there is a template within, I would say, almost all people, 99.99% of people I see in their energy bodies. There is some form of fear of creation. And that can either be fear of creation with a capital C, as in like they were raised religious, so they have a fear of God, or a fear of creation based on past lives where they stepped into their power and were persecuted. So there's a fear that way. There's a fear of being seen, a fear of being big. There's a fear of if I create something different, and it's even just in the space of, well, that different is unknown and unknown is unsafe. Therefore, I don't want to do it. So the biggest space to me when we start out is to really let go of that fear of creation. We can't do that if we don't know that we're ultimately loved and if the universe is in a supportive place. And that's where the divine feminine comes in, I see, because it's that place that, many of us had mothers or even fathers or whoever raised us where it didn't feel that the universe was supportive. It's a space where, to use an analogy, it's like the milk that we were given was sour. It wasn't nourishing to our body. It wasn't nourishing to our energy, and it started to shut us down. And as we start to heal that wound, which the planet's been doing for a very long time, as we heal that wound, it allows us to see, wait, there is actually a very healing, all present, all knowing energy around me all the time. I'm just an aspect of that. And I'm an individualized aspect of that energy. And when I can harness that, when I can allow that and open to that, that allows us to go so deep and so far and really supersede and shed all of those limits that we've had and step into a creation where we start noticing synchronicities happening. We start, you think of someone, they show up. Your heart, you have an idea. Suddenly, this thing that you've been trying to work on for years and years and years, you realize, wait, I've been going this way when all I had to do was go this way. And it's the place where we open up to that action. And so that to me is the entry point, is really stepping through that fear of creation and into the possibility, even for some people, because for some people it's not quite yet a reality in their own mind. It is a reality in the super reality of it all, but stepping through the doorway of what if love existed, and what if I had that love? What if that love was directed at me? What if I was able to feel that love and to unify that love and to act from that love? What if I was able to be fueled by that love?
Wow. I love that. And we can feel that. It's almost like F yeah. F yeah, we got this, right? F yeah. Pardon my French. Because it's like we do have a fear, and that fear of creation, being seen, um, retribution, all of
And
that.
being
And
wiped
so,
off the map. Yeah.
wow. Um,
So that gets into our sort of our ego's desire to survive.
and
And that's
it's
where,
actually it's it's coming up right now again. We've seen, a big spiritual teacher just left the planet. All right, should I even dare say? And I think, all right, David Wilcock, right? And we're not going to have that discussion. Rest in peace, David. But that brings up a fear in people, a fear of speaking out. We were told as light workers years ago, it's okay now, it's okay now. But something like this comes around. So let's put that in perspective, because I mean, I can like sense it right now. It's very dark. It's even that going down that direction or that rabbit hole puts us in an energy of fear itself.
Yeah, it
Whereas
does.
what we're talking about is being in that field of love. What if I were that love? If that love is all around me, then just center on love. And maybe
Well,
that means turning off the news, and that means shutting out all the other conspiracy theories. So
a
what
lot
do we
of a
do
lot of
with
ways
that?
it does. There used to be a thing that I would encourage people to do when they first signed up with me was like we would do maybe a week long social media cleanse, or we would
Uh-huh.
do a thing where it's like, okay, no news, no TV, no magazines, just to see how you
Excellent.
feel. The world is going to continue to go on. The grass is going to grow, the sun is going to rise and set. You don't have to worry about it. But we get so entangled and enmeshed in all of these different thought forms, and they almost feed off of us and we start feeding off of them
Yeah. Hmm.
because we start figuring it. We try to figure out how I can survive in this world. Well, that's us actually creating that same world. And so what will happen is when you start opening up and say, okay, I'm loved, any part of you, and I think Neil Donald Walsh actually talked about this a lot in the first conversations with God. He said something to the effect of, when you first step out into the universe and say, this is who I am, there's a part of you that isn't quite certain, and the universe will ask back and say, are you sure? And so what we see is any place where we have a fear that still exists, or where we're trying to project ourselves from the mind and say, oh no, this is fine, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to be fine, but where really we had another almost breaking point, where to feel that fear, to feel all of that, and to move through that, on the other side of that, we're a completely different person. And there are a lot of places within us that have been created like that, where right now what we're being asked is to let go and to move through and to face it, and not to create a story around it, but kind of be like the sky. The sky has clouds all the time, but it
Hmm.
doesn't define itself by the clouds. It knows that it is bigger than the clouds. It knows that the sun is always there in its space beyond wherever, and it can just let the clouds go. It doesn't have to force them out or clear them out or blow them out. Yes, there will be clouds. We will all experience that. That's part of our human journey until it gets to a tipping point where it's no longer a point. And so, can we all just say, wow, okay, I can stop resisting all of these things in my life? Because it's cliche, but it's true. The things that we resist will persist until we actually start to come to a place where we can love it. And so one of the things I've done with people who will, like I had a person that called in with some back pain the other day. And I said, can you not make it a story? Can you not give it a part of your identity? Can you just say, okay, right now I've got some back pain, and stop trying to fix it and save yourself and solve it and all of these things? And it was like, oh, I've been giving such a meaning to this. And it's been this thing where I was spiritually doing something wrong, and that's why I was experiencing it. And so it's like we pile dis-ease on top of dis-ease on top of dis-ease so that we can try to fix our way out of it. And that doesn't work. So what happens if you just start to love what is, which is kind of a radical thing, but not really. That goes all the way back to Edgar Casey, who would teach people, just love what is. We're not taught that. We're taught to resist and push and fight and do all those things. Well, what if we can love while at the same time standing in that new world where we're allowing, and that allowance is not a passive allowance. That allowance is letting source come through us, with us, to us, and as us. And then we're also taking the divinely inspired actions. And so where I'm going with this is there's kind of an old earth right now and the new earth right now, but they're existing in the same space. And we're going to feel them both we'll feel them both in the span of 5 minutes, of 5 seconds. We feel them in conversations that we have daily. We feel it in our body. And it's just a space where we're being asked more and more and more, can we commit to that space of what would love do? What would a master do? What would someone who really knows? And can I start to really see myself and experience myself in that role? And that will bring up all the places where I don't believe that I can experience myself in that role. Not because I'm wrong, not because the universe is punishing me, but because it's allowing me to work through my own stuff.
Mm. Wow, very well said. All right, very, very
I
good.
hope that
And
was a little
so,
verbose, but hope
no,
we
no, no,
got there.
no. I love it. I love it. I really do. It's really, it really clarifies so much. And so,
Good.
when we're talking about universal love,
Mhm.
masters of universal love, that's our journey. And my gosh, if we can just do that. Masters of Universal Love. But then multidimensional energy. So, with your work as a multidimensional energy expert, what do you see happens? Can you give us a visual of
Yeah.
this energy that's all around us, multidimensional energy, and where, like, just in a nutshell, what
Yeah.
happens?
I'll give you like the little nutshell of how we kind of view it. It's not really a hierarchy. It's kind of, it is up until about the fifth dimensional perspective, and then everything kind of starts to become relational to each other. The third dimension, the way I see it, is just a space of physical form where a lot of things are decided through contrast. They're decided through duality. And it's like, this tastes good, this tastes bad. This feels good, this feels bad. This is right, this is wrong. This is good, this is evil. There's those ideas and those perspectives that we take on. As we start to step into the fourth dimension, what we start to open up to is, wait, what in this is entrainment and what in this is actually what my heart feels good doing, and where when I do something that is absent of the heart or absence of the love, like anger or rage or something like that, I notice that it feels off to me and it feels bad to me, because in a third dimensional space it'll actually sometimes feel good because you're wanting to validate. In that fourth dimensional space, you'll start to like, it'll feel a little bit off. You'll still express it, but it'll feel a little bit off because you're coming into that fifth dimensional space, which is the synchronicity, the open heart, the transmutation. You're living from that space of the heart. As the sixth dimension opens up, you start to become more aware of who you are as a being. You start to realize you are more than just your body. You're more than just your thoughts. That's the space of what I would call the seventh dimension. And that's where everything starts to become relational to each other, as the sort of what we call higher dimensions. That seventh dimension is all about the individualized perspective, which is you, the one perspective, which is the one, and then all of the mass perspectives that exist within that. And you start to understand, if I'd have been born in those person's shoes, if I'd have had the same chemistry as that person, the same body as that person, the same biology, the same upbringing, I would have done the same thing. Even though this version of me is judging that as terrible and heinous and awful, there is something in that person, whether it's something off mentally or chemically or cosmically. If I would have been born in that person and had all of those patterns, I would have done the same thing. And so we start to let go of all of the judgments. It doesn't mean that we go, oh, they did this terrible thing, let's celebrate it. It doesn't mean that at all. It means that we look at it from an energy that's no longer being fed on or feeding off from that energy. And so there's a non-judgment. That from that space, we become empowered to truly act as if we want to act. And that's where we really start to shift the whole planet. From there, we get into kind of the eighth dimensional, which is kind of a bridge into what it is to really love the self, what it is to expand out into that ninth dimension where the self is all things, all people, all living matter. That's kind of where we start to bridge into the field itself, because we start to break open into that kind of 10th dimension where, wow, now I'm in the field of infinite possibility. Now I'm seeing all of the quantum physics. Now I'm understanding the holographic nature of reality. I'm understanding my past lives as we start to expand out from that. And we take all of these perspectives with us, not just through our understanding of this life, but we start to allow it to expand through all of our lifetimes, which allows for, as weird as this sounds, your past lives start to make new choices and they start to heal in new ways. And so everything within our complete structure is reborn. We start to become new. Religion kind of claimed that term born again, but there is a metaphysical aspect to that that most all master teachers taught. And that being born again was simply the space of being able to let go of who you thought you were and embracing this space of who you truly are.
That is just, again, so beautiful that we're letting that soak in. Wow. Thank you again for this.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that in tomorrow's episode, we are going to be doing an activation. You're going to take us on a journey, and that'll be so beautiful. And again, show up live, everyone, because you can ask some questions as well. And then Thursday, more of this experience. However, can you take us in a beginning journey, just maybe a few moments,
Yeah.
to feel all that source love around us,
Yeah. Because a
or
lot of times
whatever?
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of times we don't feel it. We're not even kind of aware of it. So just everybody just kind of take a deep breath. And I always encourage people to exhale with sound because it will engage your vagal system, your vagus nerve. It'll get anything that's ready to come up and out, and just direct all of your energy centers to open up. We have so much more than just what we think of in terms of our seven chakras or our 15 or whatever it is. Our energy centers are all the places that we connect into the one energy, and there are millions of those. And just direct that they open, they're repaired and healed, and that any place within you that maybe doesn't trust other energy, just in this moment, you can always go back to your old story. But just in this moment, you're going to allow this beautiful, gooey, golden light, almost kind of like honey, just to come down from a few feet above your head and just start to move through your being, move through your crown chakra, just opening you and cleansing any place in you that maybe had created space between you and source, had created duality between you and source. And let this energy start to expand in your field and just let it go wherever it wants to go. For some of you, it's moving through your centers. Some of you, it's flowing around you. It's just allowing this energy to be there, supporting you, holding you, loving you. And we're going to just bring that energy now consciously through the third eye, just letting us start to open up to seeing ourselves in new ways, seeing the world in new ways, seeing humans as a whole in new ways. Maybe lifting and loosening some of those old stories as we go. And as we do that, letting this energy now just move back through the back of the neck, wiping out any places of fear, just allowing you to feel stable, to really bring in the stable energy here. And we're going to bring in a little bit of that divine feminine Andromedan energy is what I call it. But it's just this kind of gooey, fluffy, pink marshmallow energy of just love, because not all of us had that growing up. So in this moment, are you willing to let yourself be loved? Are you willing? And if the answer is yes, we'll let this energy just pour in so that you can feel the love as that golden light now also goes down through your throat, just clearing any place where maybe you were taught you couldn't speak out, or maybe where you've been holding back your voice, not even with other people, but with yourself, not allowing yourself to see yourself and express yourself around who you really truly are as source. And then letting that energy move down through the neck, through the thyroid, that ascended heart space. And this is the space of who you really came here to be and what you came here to do, what you came here to experience. And let that golden light and that beautiful pink light merge in the space. And it can almost just start expanding and reflecting and refracting through your whole being right here, going on down through your heart and your solar plexus, while also expanding and shimmering out a few feet beyond your whole field. We'll just create this beautiful orb of light, and just letting this energy fill your space and just bringing it all the way down your spine, calming your nervous system, down through your navel, any place where you've been corded into other people, other ideas, other thoughts, even other ideas and thoughts about who you're supposed to be or what the world is supposed to be. Right now, be where you are. Be where you are. Feel your skin, feel the air, and realize that even with your worry, the sun still shines, the grass still grows, so be willing to let that worry go. Letting that worry go doesn't mean the thing you're worried about is going to actually happen or continue happening. It means you're going to open up to addressing it from a whole new space of empowerment. Oh, I felt that shift. And now just going down to the root. This is a lot of times where our genetic stuff is. And just saying to yourself, thank you. You have weathered an immense storm on this planet, an immense storm in this life, many storms. Thank you for being the body I needed. I haven't always appreciated you. I haven't always loved you, but you're still here, and I thank you. Just let that gratitude start to fill you as we bring this energy down the legs, and just down through the feet. I'm going to go back up to the thighs because I feel that for some of the people on the call. Just let that energy move. That's energy that we hold around control, that we hold around reproduction of old paradigms, old energy systems. old missions that we felt we had, why we came here as star seeds, or why we came here to create for other people or liberate other people. We're letting all of that go in the space of the new earth. There we go. Let this energy go down through your feet. And just like these little trap doors open up, just let it fall down through your feet like a waterfall, a cascade of energy, all the way down to the multidimensional crystalline core of Earth. It's like this beautiful sea of diamonds. And as your energy connects into this space, as above, so below, and vice versa. So as this energy's been coming from above perspectively into your being, let it now be also flowing from this beautiful sea of diamond energy. Whatever colors, whatever rays, whatever flames, whatever lights, whatever downloads and encodements you're ready for, let them start to rise up through your being. Ultimately, so that you are able to see yourself surrounded by a column of beautiful white energy now, as all of these energies merge together to form that beautiful white light of pure source. Just letting the definition go and letting yourself feel what it feels like to be in a state of both defined and undefined. And just let that love, let that newness, let that stability begin to orient your body into this now moment. And you can take as long as you want, maybe wiggle your toes, wiggle your hands, and just come aware in this moment, be present in this moment. And this light doesn't go anywhere. This light is you. It's always with you. And so it can stay with you. It can be with you every moment of every day, and let it nourish you. And just feel that for a second. What does it feel like to be nourished? It starts to orient you to a whole new world, because so many of us come from a space where the world takes from us. It takes our attention, it takes our joy, it takes our love. It requires things of us. This space is freedom. This space requires nothing of you other than your willingness to open to love. And so just feel that, and just let that energy flow through your being. And we'll just kind of come present in this moment. And just thanking everybody, all of our guides, all of the beings that were with us, and all of the people on the call, all of the energy, just saying thank you. And just bringing that up with I am here, I exist, I am now. And that I am doesn't have to be the same I that was here half an hour ago, hour ago. It can be totally new. Just allow.
Thank you so much for that. We are uplifted. We are new. We are new. And I see that those who had their eyes closed, opening their eyes, if we can hold this, that is the chore. Let's not even call it a chore. Let's call it a gift. If we
Mm.
can hold this and not let anything disturb it or reconnect with it. Really powerful. Thank you so much. You have really prepared us into our evening, and we're so excited for the activation tomorrow. And I want to share before we let everyone go that this was a few moments, but you've got something that's 52 weeks. 52 weeks of beautiful energy, healing, and alignment. And this is a special offer. So we'll talk about it now. And tomorrow we will experience more of your work and activations. But tell us a little bit about these 52 weeks. This is week by week,
Yeah.
or people don't have to wait week by week. They can get it all now.
Yeah, you can have a whole entire library basically of these energies. They're called the flow codes. And it's everything to bring us back into flow. And flow is our natural state. It's that state we just experienced. It's that state of love, of being supported, of having and being and doing and aligning from that space of love, rather than that space of kind of the old dualistic tie-ins to the old earth, and the polarity and the kind of fear and that energy. And so I basically created this event, this space, this place to hold and the space to allow, where we start off working with things like the nervous system. We start off working with our genetics and our core beliefs, and we move through, and week by week or track by track, we start to allow more and more and more of who we are through a lot of channeled energies, through the music that's encoded with it, the sound healing that's there. And it every single track has a description as well that will tell you exactly the energies that are present and what we're moving through. But it is exactly designed for this place that we find ourselves in right now on the planet, to take us from the stress and the strife and the struggle and the burnout of that old, and to really bring us into the love and the allowance of that new.
What a remarkable package for everyone. I want to say we want to make this easy. This is very affordable and it's a kit. It's like energetic chiropractor all right there on a weekly session. So there's a two payment plan if people need that, because it's very affordable, but you may need help. So we want to make that easy for everyone to say yes. And so check it out, everyone. Again, there's two options. There's one where you can go week by week, which that's good because you get to look forward to that. And so that's all timed out. You're going to be with Jarrad for 52 weeks. Or if you're rambunctious, I know so many of you are, you can get this all now and just be in that. What I love about this, Jarrad, is that you said there is old Earth and new Earth simultaneously existing. Which one are we going to choose? I choose new Earth. And
Me too.
so I'm gonna, you know what? I'm turning on, as that trained journalist, I am hardwired to look at the news and I try to do it from a perspective of love. So I know what my guidance is. And so I am very aware when it shifts my energy. And there's so much that would shift our energy in so many different ways. So let's have a media fast. I'm gonna check out. And the media fast would be New Earth Media, right? Programs like this, your music, your energizing music and frequencies. That's one thing that truly bolsters us. And that old world of chaos and destruction and collapse, we don't have to give our attention to that. So as we say goodbye, share with us that vigor that you have for New Earth.
Yeah, well, I loved how you put it. It's being able to choose, like, instead of tuning into the things that drain you, it's having this beautiful remote healing energy right at your fingertips. And so whatever you're wanting to construct, you get to now be, it's like you've always been the painter. You just forgot. You got so sucked in by the image and so sucked in by the painting that you forgot that you were the one doing it. And this is firmly putting the brush right back in your hand, and it's opening you into that space of divine love and divine allowance and divine flow, and teaching you and showing you how to, there's a lot of places right now, and we'll talk about this tomorrow, where allowing is kind of a scary thing, because it's like, well, don't I just sit back and do nothing? And no, there is a space where allowance is, when you come to that space where your heart is so full, the allowance is to allow source to emerge through you and with you and as you. And that's what we're going to get into, because that's what the new earth is all about.
Wow. And so as source moves through us, that is the flow. And I love the flow codes. So as source moves through us, we will be guided on our next steps. And I love that we're going to do that tomorrow and talk about that. And people who have questions about like, well, how do I still pay my bills? That's the magic in all of this.
Yeah.
It magically comes forward when we're in this state. So everyone hold this state, anchor this state, hold that frequency, stay connected to it, and remember it so that you don't forget. Because when we remember, that is what we can go to. And I know it seems so easy and simple, but really, when we get knocked off kilter, this love frequency, the flow codes are here. Put our eyes on that prize, and we've got New Earth with us. Jarrad, we're really looking forward to tomorrow.
Me
So
too.
thank you. All
Thank you,
right.
Lauren. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you. All right. See you all tomorrow. Bye.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.